So the Osaka World Expo, it's finally open, and I bet a lot of you are wondering what it's really like on the ground.
Yeah, beyond the official stuff.
Exactly. Forget the glossy brochures for a sec. For this deep dive, we've gone through, well, a bunch of first-hand accounts from the very first week.
Mostly YouTube videos, right? People sharing their actual experiences.
Precisely. So we get that genuine sort of street-level view, the real deal.
Yeah, unfiltered.
Our mission today is pretty simple. Give you the essential info, the practical tips, basically everything we've learned from these early visitors.
Right. Whether you're actually thinking of going or just curious about how it's all panning out.
So consider yourself equipped after this.
Absolutely. We've spent a good bit of time watching these, trying to pull out what really matters. And it's interesting, you see this mix of real excitement, but also some pretty significant logistical challenges people ran into.
That interplay, yeah, gives you a feel for what to really expect.
Definitely.
Okay, let's jump right in then. Those initial impressions. You mentioned excitement, that it's finally here. Feeling must have been strong.
Oh, yeah. You can feel that anticipation in the videos. People were clearly eager.
But how did that stack up against, well, the reality on the ground? What was the atmosphere like?
It's definitely a mixed bag. Like you said, the enthusiasm is there, being part of this big global thing right at the start. But then you hear about the crowds. One visitor on opening day, they mentioned 119,000 people.
Wow, 119,000.
Described it as insanely crowded. And apparently it was raining. So imagine that many people, plus umbrellas everywhere.
Oh boy, yeah, that paints a picture.
Makes it sound pretty intense, doesn't it?
Definitely. But was it like that constantly? Or did it ease up?
That's the key thing. Another visitor went later in the evening and said it was much more pleasant.
Okay, so timing is crucial.
It really seems like it. The time of day you choose could completely change your experience with the crowds. Big takeaway right there.
Absolutely. Now, just getting in, that first hurdle, what are people saying about the entry process, the waits?
This is where it gets really varied, even for people with timed tickets, which you'd think would standardize things a bit. One person, they had an 11:00 a.m. ticket, waited over 2 hours to get in.
2 hours with a timed ticket.
Right, but get this, their sister, who had a 10 a.m. slot, was apparently in within about 30 minutes.
That's a massive difference. What's causing that kind of variation?
Seems like a few things. Rain, again, probably slowed down security checks.
Yeah.
Emptying pockets, checking liquids, that whole process.
Standard stuff, but rain makes it messy.
Yeah. But a major bottleneck seems to have been internet connectivity right at the gate.
Oh, no. For the QR codes on phones.
Exactly. Multiple people mentioned struggling to get their QR codes to load. Bad signal, maybe just too many people trying to connect at once.
Digital tickets and spotty Wi-Fi. That is a recipe for stress.
He said it. Apparently, staff were even using megaphones, asking people to turn off mobile data to try and help.
Wow. Okay, so is there a workaround? A tip?
Yes. And this came up directly from visitors. Take a screenshot of your QR code ticket before you leave home. Seriously.
Simple but brilliant. Screenshot the QR code. Got it.
It could save you so much hassle. Absolute gold, that tip.
Definitely writing that one down. Were there smoother entry times reported at all?
Yeah, interestingly, the same person who had that awful 2-hour morning, they went back around 5:00 p.m. another day.
Wow.
Quick and easy. Said they scanned multiple codes off their phone, got inside within maybe 10 minutes of the gates opening for that slot.
Okay, so evening entry might be the way to go for less queuing.
It's looking like a strong possibility based on these early reports.
Strategic timing. Check.
All right.
Okay, once you're finally inside that massive place, how's navigating? Getting around, finding stuff?
Right, getting your bearings. So 2 main entrances, East Gate, that's via the subway, the Osaka Metro Chuo line to Umeshima Station, and the West Gate, which is more for shuttle buses or taxis.
Got it. Any tips for using the subway route?
Actually, yes, a very specific one. If your entry time is in that peak morning rush, say between 9:00 a.m. and noon, try to avoid changing to the Chuo line at Bentencho Station.
Why Bentencho specifically?
People reported huge lines just to get on the train there, like platform queues. Apparently, they might be limiting how many people get on each train for safety or something.
Okay, so a potential bottleneck before you even reach the expo gates.
Exactly. The suggestion was to board the Chuo line earlier, like at Homachi Station, if your road allows. Bentencho is a major transfer point, so bypassing it during that morning crunch could save a lot of time.
Super helpful advice for anyone taking the train. What about bringing stuff in? Luggage?
Strict rules there. No large suitcases, no carry-on size bags, no carts. Basically, travel light.
And lockers, if you do have bags.
There are lockers at the east and west gates, but, well, two issues. One, very limited numbers, apparently only about 100 at each gate.
That's not many for those crowds.
Right. And two, the price. Someone reported it costing 10,000 yen.
10,000 yen for a locker.
Ugh.
About 70 bucks.
Yep, for the day. So the strong advice, even from the expo itself, is leave luggage at your hotel. Or use lockers at stations like Bentencho or maybe Sakurajima, which is near Universal Studios. Those are more like 1,000 yen, much more reasonable. Some might even deliver your luggage.
Okay, 1,000 yen versus 10,000 yen. Easy choice. Plan ahead for bags.
Definitely. Oh, and another basic necessity point, someone raised restrooms.
Ah, yes. Important.
One visitor felt they were really few and kind of far apart inside the expo.
Not ideal in a large venue.
Their tip was, use the facilities at Ueshima Station before you scan your ticket and go in, just to be safe.
Sensible.
Huh?
Okay, let's talk pavilions. The main event for many. How's that working with reservations and getting in?
Right, the big draw. And so for popular ones, there's a system. You can try for advance reservations via a lottery.
Okay.
Or there's same-day registration. But one visitor had a really tough time with the online same-day system.
How so?
Called the website very buggy. Said they had to keep refreshing constantly and eventually just gave up trying to get a slot that way.
Oh, that sounds incredibly frustrating. So if the online system is flaky, are you locked out?
Thankfully, no. The good news is loads of the smaller country pavilions and just the general common areas don't need reservations at all. People mentioned just walking straight into places like Ireland, the Philippines, the U.S. Pavilion initially, France.
So you can still explore quite freely.
Absolutely. It allows for that spontaneous, let's see what's in here kind of discovery, which is great. Not everything requires military planning.
That's a relief. Were all the pavilions actually up and running, though? Or still some setup happening?
Good question. It seems not everything was 100% ready. One person specifically noted the India Pavilion looked like it was still under construction.
Okay, so manage expectations, especially early on. Some things might still be getting finished.
Exactly. It's pretty common for massive events like this, I suppose.
Fair point. What about the pavilions that were open? Any standouts mentioned?
Yeah, you've got specific shout-outs. The U.S. Pavilion space theme, apparently a really cool 3D rocket launch. Though it sounds like you watched in stages, video by video.
Interesting.
Indonesia was described as being like a jungle inside with another 3D show, this time cultural.
Cool.
Saudi Arabia focused on culture, and they were even offering samples of Saudi coffee. Nice touch.
Oh, interactive. I like that.
Then there's the big ones people know about. The Gundam Pavilion, where that giant robot moved from Yokohama. Huge draw, but you definitely need reservations booked way in advance for that.
The Gundam.
And the Astro Boy exhibit, exploring life stages, future ideas. One visitor called it one of the coolest exhibits. Also needs reservations.
Okay, so a mix of reserved must-sees and walk-in discovery.
Pretty much. Oh, and a small note. Some gift shops within pavilions might not have been open yet either.
Good to know. Now, Osaka Bay.
Yeah.
Man-made island. Spring weather. Sounds potentially unpredictable.
Hugely unpredictable. This came up a lot. It's exposed out there. Visitors stressed how quickly it can change. Mild one minute, then suddenly cold and really windy, especially evenings. And rain was common in that first week.
So packing strategy is key.
Absolutely essential. Bring an umbrella, doubles for sun and rain, sunscreen, sunglasses, definitely layers, sweater or light jacket, minimum.
Even if it seems nice when you leave the hotel.
Especially then. One person said the wind was so strong it flipped their umbrella inside out. So yeah, be prepared.
Okay, layers and a sturdy umbrella. Got it. What about fuel? Food and drink inside the expo. Can you bring your own?
Good news on that front. Yes, you can bring your own food and non-alcoholic drinks.
Oh, that's great for budget and picky eaters.
Totally. Inside, there are vending machines with normal prices, which is good.
Not bumped up?
Apparently not for the vending machines. There's also a big food court, lots of choices, but that's where you hit expo price.
Ah, the markup. How much?
One visitor estimated maybe 20–30% higher than you'd pay in Osaka City itself.
Okay, expected, but good to know.
There are also convenience stores, like a 7-Eleven that looked kind of futuristic apparently, selling food, drinks, using paper bags, which is nice for sustainability.
Good. Any water options?
Yep, water refill stations are available if you bring your own empty bottle.
Perfect. So options exist, but packing snacks in a water bottle seems like a smart move.
Very savvy move, yeah.
So stepping back a bit, what's the overall feeling, the vibe, the value people felt they got?
One person summed it up as like a big, giant museum,
Mm-hmm.
but with, varying quality between exhibits.
Okay.
And interestingly, there were mentions that some local Japanese folks reportedly found it a bit boring.
Oh, really?
But the counterargument and what makes expos unique is that chance to dip into so many different cultures and see innovations from around the world all in one spot. Maybe even chat with people from those countries.
That is the unique draw, isn't it?
And the sheer
There-
scale means you probably can't see it all in one day anyway. Might take multiple visits.
Makes sense. Any evening stuff worth staying for?
Yeah, they mention evening entertainment like a water and light show called Under the Midnight Rainbow.
That's cool.
So despite the queues and the glitches, at least one visitor we watched still came away with a generally positive feeling.
A giant, sometimes challenging, but ultimately unique world museum. Okay, so let's distill this down. Based on everything these early visitors shared, what are the absolute key tips we can give listeners?
Okay, let's list them out. First, early entry. Try for 9:00 or 10:00 a.m. Might mean shorter waits.
Right.
Second, screenshot that QR code before you leave home. Crucial for avoiding internet issues at the gate.
Essential.
Third, transport planning. Remember the Bentencho station advice if you're taking the train in the morning peak. Avoid it if you can.
Gotcha.
Fourth, luggage strategy. Leave big bags at the hotel or use cheaper off-site lockers. Don't rely on the expensive expo ones.
Okay.
Fifth, weather prep. Layers, good umbrella, sun protection. Be ready for anything.
Always.
Sixth, stay hydrated. Bring a reusable water bottle for the refill stations. Seventh, embrace spontaneity. Yes, reserve the big hitters if you can, but enjoy wandering into the many pavilions that don't need reservations.
Mix it up.
Eighth, check pavilion readiness. Just know some might still be finishing up early on.
Manage expectations.
Ninth, consider evening visits. Could be less crowded, plus you get the nighttime atmosphere and shows.
Different vibe.
And finally, 10th, maybe download the official app. The website had issues for one person with same-day bookings, but the app might have useful info or even work better for on-site stuff. Worth a shot.
Fantastic. That's a really solid list of practical advice. So to wrap it up for everyone listening, expect crowds, definitely plan your entry and transport carefully, be super prepared for Osaka weather, and try to balance those must-see reservations with just exploring freely.
Yeah, it sounds like the expo, even with these early hiccups, offers this massive, maybe slightly overwhelming, but really unique chance to see the world in one place.
Absolutely. Which leads us to a final thought for you, the listener. Hearing these real experiences from the first week, what aspect of a World Expo actually interests you the most now?
And knowing what you know now, how might you plan your own visit differently? Maybe a specific pavilion caught your ear, or perhaps you're now thinking purely about logistics and timing, something to chew on. We hope this deep dive helps you figure that out.